We need to do a Brooklyn show because, let's face it, Brooklyn is on fire. The culinary scene here has gone viral. I know about this. I mean, 10 years ago we did Smith Street back when it was just going crazy, but now it's way beyond that. It's probably the hottest scene around, debatably, but whatever. But I don't pretend to know Brooklyn. I live in Manhattan where the old people live. I'm fine with that. I love the West Village. I'm moving to the Lower East Side. I'm going to be cool with that too. But to come to Brooklyn, I need somebody. I need a Sherpa. So who do I tap? Jordana Rothman. She's the dining editor, the eating out editor, whatever they call it, for Time Out New York. She's been on the scene for years, lives in the hood. I said, Jordana, curate a show for me. She picked 6 spots. That's where we're going today. A bakery, a smoked meat place, an amazing fish place. Well, you'll see. Jordana will appear by my side as my Sherpa. And it's Brooklyn, all show in the house. I'm Mike Colameco, chef and food lover. Come with me and meet some of today's most interesting chefs and their crews that work in their kitchens. Real chefs, real restaurants, and real recipes. That's what's on the menu. This is Mike Colameco's Real Food. Jordana Rothman, AKA Sherpa for the day. So I'm doing the show, and I'm like, I really don't know Brooklyn. I mean, I read like everybody else does. What am I going to go to Chowhound to figure this out? So I'm call Jordana. I've known you forever. You're freaking brilliant. You live here. You represent Brooklyn, and you cover the food scene for Time Out New York. So da-da. But before we talk about the specifics of the show today, talk about Brooklyn and the food scene in the context of the greater 5 boroughs.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about food in New York City right now, you really need to talk about Brooklyn. I mean, Brooklyn is this like sort of place where everything that's kind of happening in food is kind of incubating here in this borough. You know, I chose today to sort of focus on this neighborhood of sort of Cobble Hill, Burham Hill, Carroll Gardens, because this is where I live. You know, I call this area home. And right now what's happening is we have these artisans who are kind of putting down their roots, and they are just kind of investing in this like fever dream of artisanal Brooklyn, and they're specializing in these really, really specific things, and they're doing like such good and exciting work.
Right.
And I really wanted to show you, you know, it's kind of like what my Saturday looks like, to be honest, you know, like I might, you know, start
I'm going to be jealous.
Yeah, you know, I might like start with brunch, you know, up at Mile End, where, you know, they're doing this kind of like Quebecois homage to Montreal style delis. Then I might swing by Bien Cuit, which is this absolute world-class bakery right here on Smith Street. Stop by Shelsky's smoked fish to bring some stuff home, you know, to my family perhaps if I'm visiting them, and then down to Court Street Grocers. I'm a local there, you know, I just go there all the time.
And these are all within like a mile of each other.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you've got Fleishers on the list, which is maybe when the Butcher's Rockstar movement might have started there. I don't know, but let someone else figure that out. And all in the same way, we're going to end up at this cocktail lounge. It is just open. It's just like in its infancy, called Donna.
I have a feeling for cocktail bars. I love cocktail bars. I love cocktail culture. And I sort of went to Donna and decided this is my next big thing, and I'm going to make it a star.
All right, welcome to my world. Let's go. Let's go do this. No, you and I met at Google Moving.
Yes.
And I was just amazed. Kind of like my first job ever as a 13-year-old kid was at this iconic deli in Marion, Pennsylvania called Jaime's. I was an Italian kid from West Philly. I knew nothing about it, and I fell in love with the culture. This is an homage to Quebecois delis. What does that mean? Because I don't have a context for it.
When I came to New York, I kind of felt like the deli in New York was like this greatest hits of all things ever Jewish, you know? And Montreal, it's like the delis are special. Like they're known for one thing. They do it extraordinarily well. You can just like focus on a couple things and just kill it, and you can make a whole business out of that. And I kind of felt like delis in New York, by virtue of trying to serve everything, were serving nothing well.
Agreed. I mean, Katz's is a great sandwich shop, and I think Carnegie, if you stick with the sandwiches, you're in good shape. When you wander too far into the menu, it's like, really, there's nothing there that's worth going there
I
for.
would butcher half those menus or three-quarters of those menus and just say, serve that. You'll still be a great place.
And it's had like really proven dividends as well. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't have any cooking background, and he was longlisted for a James Beard Rising Star Award this year. So that, I think, speaks volumes about what they're doing here.
Tell me what you're going to pick. Let's do 3 things so everybody has a plate in front of them.
We have what we call the Beauty. The Beauty is named after Beauty's Luncheonette in Montreal, which is a sandwich that's served on a St. Theater Montreal bagel. It has house-cured lox. It's pretty classic. but the bagel's very special.
Yeah, so bagels, you actually bring in bagels.
We actually bring in bagels from Montreal. The dough is built without any salt. It's a big difference.
That's
It
huge.
also has malt in it and sugar. And then the bagels get boiled in honey water and then baked in a wood-burning oven. We have the mishmash, which is an egg scramble with salami and lox, greens and onions. And that's something that I was inspired to make because of this really cool little diner in Montreal called Cosmos. And they make a mishmash which has like 7 eggs and like hot dog and salami and bacon and ham, and like there isn't a vegetable to be seen. And then the third thing is called the Ruth Walensky, which is another homage to another great place in Montreal, Walensky's Light Lunch. We make this really delicious garlicky beef salami, which is cured and smoked. Slice it really thinly, fried on the flat top, and then press it between a homemade onion roll.
This is actually the first sandwich I ever tasted here.
It's a very, very simple sandwich. There's only 3 things.
The ingredients are great. I mean, so simple, but. Well, this is great. I'm not going to say shockingly great, because everything here is great, but it's great.
Thanks.
All right, we're here with Zach Golper. Bien Cuit, great name, by the way.
Thank you.
I walk in and just that smell of a bakery early in the morning of just yeast and flour and heat and crust and crumb. It's just full on. This is an amazing shop. Tell me how you ended up here, because you got a bit of a story.
I had started off in rural Oregon. I wanted to learn where food comes from. So I came to an organic farm. It was very exciting, a quiet life, and there was a baker that was outside every few days that would be baking in an oven that was, not too far from my window. So I would smell the bread early in the morning, and it was luring me. So I went and asked him if I could participate, if I could watch, really, and he said, no, but you can help. Okay, so I rolled up my sleeves, and we were literally mixing on the ground by hand. He had an aversion to electricity, so we stuck with candlelight. He showed me how it was done for thousands of years.
That's old school, baby. That makes Jim Leahy sound like Betty Crocker. That's crazy.
We still love Jim, though.
What do we have here?
This is our campagne loaf. We give it that name because it's just a rustic country bread. Very simple. We use 2 different grains, rye and wheat. But in this case, we use 3 different types of rye and 3 different types of wheat.
This guy over here with this wonderful, kind of splits open as it cooks. It gets this top here that just...
The Mohican bread
The
there.
Mohican, it's got the mohawk.
So the olive loaf, again, is going to be a blend of 3 different types of rye and 3 different types of wheat. We went with an olive from Sicily. It just turned out that was with the proper brine, a perfect texture after baking, and a low level of acidity, so that the olive itself didn't affect the crumb of the bread.
Chef, talk about this guy, because this is this,
The
again, we have
pugliese.
this wonderful, I mean, look how, that just, a lot of these cracks occur when they come out of the oven. So
Yeah.
this comes out of the oven and it's screaming hot, and as it's cooling, you'll actually, if you get your ears,
You hear this,
you
the
hear this
hissing,
crackling across the
symphony.
top.
And for all of us, for every baker that I've ever met that's worked in these types of conditions, that sound is really comforting. It makes getting up at 1:30 in the morning actually worth it.
We shouldn't just talk about bread. Your pastries are extraordinary.
Thank you.
Let's start here, because
Yeah?
this is like something I've never seen before. This looks like when I bake and it doesn't work, because when I get done and everything's in the oven, I realize, oh, I forgot the egg, or I forgot the leavening, and my kids are like, I'm not eating that, Dad.
Daddy, use a recipe, come on.
You used the recipe. Next time, use all the ingredients.
Right. So this one's going to be a French apple puree, vanilla pastry cream, and a cardamom streusel. You bite through the crispy of the cardamom streusel, you go into the very wet cream, but a nice cream.
Rich.
It doesn't ooze down your face. When you swallow it, you don't feel like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. There's real food in there.
This guy's funny. What's the story of this
All
one?
Danish there, all Danish. This one we call the Yeti because it takes on the form of kind of a Sasquatch, and we really didn't know how to spell, so we thought we'd call it the Yeti.
And Harrison Ford for that.
We've taken a vanilla custard base, we've combined that with mascarpone, and then we incorporate Aleppo chili and cocoa nib. It's got the lamination, so it's going to be very crispy, slightly sweet, but it's all about texture.
All right, so I couldn't resist. This is the one we were talking about. That's this sort of crazy hybrid dough. So we have this streusel on the top. It's scented with a little bit of cardamom. And then this vanilla pastry cream. Anyway, let's eat. It's pastry and it's supposed to be sweet, but it's just sweet enough to be sweet and not sweet. It's not cloying. It's so far down from that. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I got to give this a cut too. The Yeti. Look at, see, you have that laminate. Can you see that roll there? How that dough is spiraled? Those are the pages. Those great flakes. Spectacular. Your store's amazing, ridiculous, but kind of an homage to the Russ and Daughters thing. How do you get them and what are you doing with them? Because your herring is extraordinary.
Thank you. I get salted herring fillets in. They come in 14-pound buckets. We pickle them ourselves. I desalinate them for 2 days in fresh water. Then we pickle them in a vinegar solution and go from there.
And where'd you learn this? Because this is, I mean, there's no school that I saw for pickling herring and running a smoked
I did not.
appetizing
I did not learn this in culinary school. I actually taught myself. When I decided I wanted to do this store, which came about when I was waiting online at Russ and Daughters. I was waiting online, and I said to myself, "Man,
you, me, and everybody else.
This is horrible. Why am I waiting for 2 hours? And I live in Brooklyn, and this should be in Brooklyn. This should be on Smith Street."
So tell me about what goes in this brine.
It's actually a pretty simple brine. It's not exactly rocket science. So we put the bay leaves in, mustard seeds in, black peppercorns in, allspice in, a whole bunch of sugar going in, and then vinegar.
It's 5 minutes later, it's coming up to a boil.
Coming up to a boil. So we're gonna pour the vinegar into this bowl. All right, so now we got these herring fillets, which do have some bones in them, and they're just gonna dissolve right in the vinegar.
Leave it to the old folks back in the day to have figured this all out, huh?
Exactly.
How long does it sit in this bad boy
2
for?
days.
All right, so now we're gonna do like a little platter. We've got a couple of types of herring. This is the one.
Yeah, that's exactly the one we were just making. It's been pickled for a couple days. So we just take it, cut it into strips, goes into the cream sauce, gets a little stir. This is our newest addition.
Tell me about this guy.
This is French smoked herring, and it's man, it is, wow. My wife is French, and my mother-in-law came to visit us, so she brought some, and I tasted it, and both my wife and I were like, oh my God.
Whitefish salad?
Yeah, this is our whitefish salad, and this is our smoked bluefish salad.
I'm glad to hear you're using bluefish, because man, I love bluefish.
We put roasted hazelnuts, oranges, and fennel in it.
Whitefish salad, who doesn't like this? This stuff's
exactly. Now I put cucumber and celery in it because I like a little texture, I like some crunch.
When you start with whitefish like that, I mean, this is just, I can't say that word. This is just really freaking good. How do you do the bluefish, like a rillette?
So we take smoked bluefish, pull them apart, pull the few bones that are in there out. With diced fennel, we supreme some oranges and some chopped up roasted hazelnuts, a little bit of mayonnaise, a little bit of sour cream,
that's insane.
A dash of Worcestershire sauce.
These French herring that I've never had, I'm a sucker for this stuff.
Basically what Vincente's doing here is he's making what we call the Brooklyn transplant sandwich. He's taking this fatty kippered salmon, which we get from Samaki up in Port Jervis, and he's putting it on there with some plain cream cheese. He's going to add a little bit of pickled herring salad, and he's putting it on there with an apple horseradish sauce that we make just with freshly grated apples and freshly grated horseradish with some lemon juice, which got rated one of the best Jewish sandwiches in the United States. So pretty proud of it.
Luckily I got Russ and Daughters in my neighborhood. Sorry.
Hey.
But when I'm on this side of that river, this is extraordinary. This is stop number 4 in a 6-stop day, and so far you are batting 1,000. Court Street Grocers, why this place, and what is it?
What I love about this place, certainly they do these unbelievable, just like sort of standard bearing, beautiful sandwiches. But what's so charming about the place as sort of, a modern Brooklyn pantry is that its shelves are stocked with this unbelievably well-curated collection of goods that represent, some regional Americana, some international specialties, and then also some locally produced, locally made Brooklyn foodstuffs.
But this isn't all about, we're only doing made in Kings County.
Right.
I mean, for example, they've got this great Neapolitan pasta is 2 SKUs down from Fluffernutter.
Junket.
As a kid, my mother used to make pudding. Remember that stuff?
My mother,
it's like rennet pudding.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me so much of my mother. Batente pickles, incredibly sour. This is as best as it gets. It's Honda's Farm milk. When they talk about grassy, like
terroir,
barnyard,
milk.
like seriously.
Barnyard.
This milk will blow your mind. There are some things in the American pantry that are unimpeachable. To me, Heinz ketchup is one of them. It's the perfect balance of sour and sweet. It's like basically exactly what you look for in this condiment, and they carry it. This is the greatest salsa on earth. Fox's You Bet chocolate syrup. This is exactly what I'm talking about when we talk about this store, which is essentially that, first of all, this is the classic egg cream ingredient. If you're making an egg cream without Fox's You Bet, it's not an egg cream. You should also be ashamed of yourself. The thing that really sort of like cements this place in the mythology of my eating life is the fact that they actually have wholesome food as well. You can get sort of a simple piece of roasted chicken, this beautiful melon salad, which
with
I love.
cilantro and a ricotta salata cheese, great, salty and sweet.
They're these
Bingo, we got the top
incredible
shelf. Yeah.
baked goods, and the rugelach in particular are so good, in fact, that we have brought them to our grandparents before, and they have gone completely insane. Finally, the cheeses and the sliced meats, a small selection, but a really well curated one of a range of cheeses and breads.
And bread's right above it, from
Yeah.
Sullivan Street, from Balthazar, and from Ore Washers.
We've sort of been paying attention to the things that we would love to see in our dream shop. And we've actually been taking notes for about a decade. It's possible now to go online and find producers and to figure out ways to get stuff into the store. You don't need to rely on specific...
$500 delivery off the back of a Cisco truck when you can call up a little guy that grinds his own corn mill and say, hey man, I need 5 one-pound bags.
Yeah, I think we've got 60 distributors.
You don't have a ton of shelf space. It's all just ridiculously cool stuff. The dad and mom baking thing is crazy. So who's dad and who's mom?
My dad. His dad.
I'm still confused, but so how that? I mean, because they're parents and they love their kids and they wanted to get involved. I mean, your mom's a caterer, so.
Essentially, it's how it started. I think my mother baked like 33 hours last week, which was like insane.
So your mom is responsible for the
carrot cake, the bread puddings, the great thing she does, these little caramel tarts. She does chocolate chip cookies, chocolate cake.
the chocolate cake that was all
That really dark,
volcano
yeah,
on the top,
chocolate
yeah.
cake.
And dad does.
He does the Jewish stuff. He does the babka, the rugelach,
Peanut butter cookies.
peanut butter cookies.
And coconut cake, great coconut cake.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys aren't in my neighborhood because weight would be an issue. To know that I could just stumble in here and get these ridiculous sandwiches.
When we first started, we really wanted to have a really great Reuben and a really great turkey club.
Just classic sandwiches. I mean, that's what we wanted.
It's got three slices of pan de mie here from Balthazar. In the pan over here, already crisped up and ready to go, is our confit dark meat. What that is it's thigh and leg meat that we confit in duck fat. Grab some of our house roast white meat, get it into the steamer, warm that up for just a minute or so. Get our white meat down onto the sandwich. This is Edwards bacon from Virginia. A couple slices of bib lettuce. It's the turkey club.
Great store. Really, if I was in this neighborhood, I don't think I'd go anywhere else. This is just great shopping, great to-go food, great sit-down food.
And we're doing dinner Friday night now too. We do a 3-course, $35 BYOB dinner, which has been really exciting.
All right, here with Jason Fox, GM at Fleishers. Talk a bit about the Fleishers story, because they were kind of at the beginning of this whole Butcher as rock star thing.
They were definitely on the forefront. They started about 7.5 years ago. Jessica was a vegetarian with a bacon exception.
Which is amazing.
Yes. Josh was a vegan.
Which is worse.
Yeah, even worse.
And then what happened? They both got hit by lightning, had amnesia, and woke up eating burgers?
And Jess wanted to start eating meat and didn't know where to find ethically raised meat, so she decided to start doing research and open up a butcher shop. All New York State.
Grass-fed.
Our beef and
Finished
lamb
with grain.
is pastured, raised, no
Okay.
antibiotics, no hormones. We're supporting local agriculture, local farmers, and local slaughterhouse.
So what are we taking down today?
We're gonna do lamb.
So we've got this whole thing. I mean, this is for safety, as old school as it gets, this chainmail thing. This is a good sized lamb.
Yeah, this one is actually 79 pounds.
When you get this off, I'm going home with that. I love lamb neck, white beans, maybe some tomatoes, some carrots.
slow.
6-7 hours at 265, and
Spreads.
it's ridiculous. It's
It's
like
pretty.
confit.
All right, one neck.
It's dinner this weekend.
There's dinner.
Yes. Dinner for two.
And then the shanks, of course. And then the saddle with the rack of rib, the shoulder. And this is your shoulder.
I love shoulder meat for stews. It's some of the best meat on the animal.
That's what we use. And then we take the leg of lamb off. That'd be a leg of lamb. And then this splits in half on the bandsaw, and then you take the shanks off. And this would be your saddle.
The racks that have the loin and the racks that don't have the loin as they go further down.
Exactly, and I'll show you that.
There we
Great,
go.
so that would be your lamb loin chops.
These big guys down here.
And then American, you split down here, and you
Yep.
have single chops on the bandsaw. And then this is your rack.
Yeah, and you can see the eye of the rack on this side, coming through to this side. Fleishers. How did you hear about Fleishers? And talk a little bit about what you did.
Well, they came out with a book, Butcher's Guide to Well-Raised Meat, which is a fantastic sort of survey of this culture and this renaissance of butchery.
Yeah.
And I had written about it for Time Out New York. Josh Appleson had invited me out to the shop multiple times. Finally, I just thought, well, I'll just go up and spend the day out there. I think it'll be fun. So I went up and spent the day there, and I would never I would never presume to know even in nearly as much as any of the wonderful people who work here, but I really found it to be such really an invaluable experience for me as a writer and as an eater, frankly. It really sort of snapped into relief my understanding of my role in the food system and really sort of kicked off just a deeper understanding of the implications of the meat that I eat and the choices that I make surrounding meat. And what it really means to, choose to do things another way, sort of outside of the kind of like standard, factory farm setting.
You put on the chainmail, you have the scarab,
the chainmail is sexy, man.
So where's our last stop tonight?
This bar that we're stopping at is called Donna. It's about 2 or 3 months old, and it really sort of struck me as sort of a new classic immediately. And it really has that just beautiful, bright interior. It's capacious, it's gorgeously designed, and the drinks really sort of speak to some sort of escapist boozing, I would say.
I'm here with Chef Jessica Wilson, and you and I met a year ago.
Yeah.
You were at Butchery, which is this cool kitchen.
Amazing.
Missy Robbins, a lot of women in that kitchen. You also work with Gabrielle Hamilton, ditto there.
Yeah.
So go girls.
Go girls. All my restaurants that I've actually had, all the kitchens have been all females.
We're going to demo one thing for us tonight. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, we're going to do a grilled avocado or avocado a la plancha.
I've never seen avocado cooked. Roll.
Well, it's really good. Let's go.
Roll.
All right.
Pinch of salt.
Pinch of salt, a little Molden.
Pinch of olive oil.
Little olive oil.
Can't go wrong with that ever.
Yep. Really good sear. This is like the new pizza. So I got all the elements because we're stuffing it. We have 2 ways of filling it. We do a red pepper relish for vegetarians or people who don't want the meat, or oxtail jam. So we're going to do oxtail jam because that's my favorite. I'm going to go with this. As you see, it's got this really beautiful sear. Again, a little bit more salt.
Because it lost the salt.
It lost that salt. Some lime juice, a little acid on there. And we are going to stuff it with this oxtail jam. And then on the top is for like what we would normally stuff for the red pepper relish. That goes, it's got a little ancho jam on it. And then a little crema, a little extra fat on there. A little Aleppo marjoram and cilantro. And some more fat.
That's ridiculous. That's crazy good. I'm in your hands. It's been a 6-shoot day. You're shoot number 6.
All right.
I am having trouble talking. I have not had a drink yet. So the only thing I can interpret that is I need a drink. Tell me about the first one.
The first one's going to be a twist on a classic tiki cocktail.
It's tiki time.
So pineapple juice first, a little orange juice, coconut. It's coconut cream, yeah. So you got your Amaro, Brancamenta, and some delicious Jamaican rum.
We got the mint. And the name of this was again?
This is called the Broncolata.
I shouldn't seem so enthusiastic on camera when I'm having a drink, should I? That's insane. The name of this, brother?
This is called the Smoky Peach. The lime juice.
Lime juice, simple syrup.
Orchard peach. This is a peach liqueur. Your mezcal, tequila. So then the rim on this glass is 1 part cayenne pepper, 1 part salt, and then half part sugar.
That's beautiful. It's been a 10-hour day. We've been all over. You ready for some drinks?
I'm ready.
We're going to be doing this thing.
Let's
this
go
work.
do it.
This is what we call work.
Yeah.
Jordana Rothman, Sherpa for the show. I owe it all to her. And I got to tell you again, 6 for 6, girl. Time out in New York. You can read her stuff all the time and her staff stuff. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Let's go get a buzz on.
Shot for shot.
Yeah, we'll do that.